I think Republicans got too used to the softballs they're used to getting when they go on to the Sunday morning shows, because now that they're getting queried more often with tighter questions, they're not as good in responding. Here, Romer is kind of caught by Stephanopoulos when Stephanopoulos tried to point out that, hey, wait a minute. Are you going to apply the same type of James Romer, of the Oversight Committee? He said, are you going to apply the same type of scrutiny that you're providing towards President Biden and Hunter Biden? Are you going to make sure that same sort of scrutiny applies to Kushner, Donald Trump's brother, or rather son-in-law, who has a whole lot of dealings with Saudi Arabia? In other words, not just dealings, but we're talking about $2 billion. And, Romer says, oh, it's going to be bipartisan. Oh, it's going to be that we're going to look into everything and try to pass laws that everybody have to function. But, the Biden family is responsible. I tell you what, let's go ahead and cut to this, and then we'll end on the other side.
Let me ask you more about your oversight responsibilities. You made it clear you're going to be looking at Hunter Biden and his financial entanglements with foreign countries, including China. I want to put up a front page story from the Washington Post this morning detailing Jared Kushner's ties to the Saudis. After helping princes rise, Trump and Kushner benefit from Saudi funds, a $2 billion investment in Kushner's funds from the Saudis. We know the former President Trump has also received funds related to the Saudi Golf Tour. Senator Ron Wyden says these financial entanglements deserve investigation. Will you be investigating that as well?
I think everything's on the table. Look, we're investigating Joe Biden. We know that Joe Biden said during the presidential campaign that he had no knowledge of his son's business interest. He wasn't involved. He didn't benefit from them. We have evidence that would suggest otherwise. And this is very concerning. Americans are outraged that China flew a balloon over the United States. Americans are outraged that China's trying to buy farmland. I think Americans would be outraged to know how much money the Biden family's taken in from China. And for what, we don't exactly know. So this is something we're concerned about, but we're also concerned about a legislative fix. I don't disagree with the Democrats and their criticism of the previous administration. We have a problem here that needs a legislative solution. That's why this Biden investigation is so important. There's a legislative solution to this, and it can be bipartisan. The Democrats complained about Kushner's foreign dealings. Republicans are certainly complaining about the entire Biden family's foreign business dealings. We need to know what is allowable and what isn't allowable. We need to have strict ethics laws, and we need to significantly increase the disclosure laws in America. So I think this investigation is going to be very important to fix a problem before it gets out of hand.
But to be clear, you believe that this should apply to Kushner and Trump as well as the Bidens at this point?
I believe that when we talk about passing legislation to set a line as to where you can be with relatives of high-ranking government officials with respect to doing business with adversaries overseas, then it would apply to everyone. We need to fix this before it gets worse in the next administration. The Democrats complained about the Trump administration, but obviously we're complaining about the Biden administration. The difference between Jared Kushner and Hunter Biden is that Jared Kushner actually sat down and was interviewed. He was interviewed by investigators. So he's already been investigated. Thus far, Hunter Biden's attorneys, the president's attorneys, the president's White House, they're doing everything they can to block our investigation. Hopefully, the Biden family will be as cooperative as Jared Kushner with our investigation as they were with the January 6th investigation and all the other investigations of the Trump administration. So I think this is a problem. I think that there can be a bipartisan legislative solution, but we can't get to that point until we know the extent of what the Biden family influence peddling involved, especially with respect to communist China.
Congressman, thank you. I think we only learned of the $2 billion Saudi investment from the Washington Post this morning, at least the details of it.
Well, here's the deal. Stephanopoulos did the perfect thing at the end. He tries to be Romer tries to be measured. He tries to say that somehow Kushner was interviewed not about the $2 billion, but for the insurrection. But he tries to conflate these issues on what Kushner was interviewed for and somehow make it seem like Kushner is getting more scrutiny than Hunter Biden. We have to remember Hunter Biden has nothing to do in no official position in Joe Biden's administration. However, Kushner was an integral part of the Trump administration, and as such, there should be a lot of oversight on him. But when it came to the investigation that one of the major newspapers are asking for, when Romer tries to insinuate that, Kushner was already under scrutiny, at the end of the interview, Stephanopoulos made the most prescient comment. Remember, we would not have known anything about this $2 billion absent the newspaper letting us know. So it has nothing to do with your oversight. It has everything to do with outside coverage of Kushner. Again, these guys come unprepared to these shows these days. They used to be prepared. They come unprepared to these shows because they were so used to getting the softballs. Now that we all know they're an existential threat to this country. Now that we all know that Republicans are clear and the Republican leadership, that is a clear and present danger to the American experience, to the country. People are taking them a bit more seriously. People are doing better interviews. And I hope that continues, because if that continues, we won't have the problem of having the level of incompetence, the level of treasonry in the United States government as we did under President Trump.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.